It was supposed to be the best night of her life. Asterisk, for months, Layla had dreamed of her senior prom. She had worked 2 part-time jobs after school, one at the local diner, the other helping at a daycare to save enough for the perfect dress. It wasn't just about fashion or attention. For her, this night was a celebration of survival, of making it through for years in a school where she had been humiliated, overlooked, and constantly targeted because she was different. Asterisk, Layla wasn't rich. She wasn't popular. She didn't have the designer shoes or the airbrushed makeup. The other girls had, but she had something far more powerful: grit and heart. The kind of heart that had kept her going even when students laughed at her hand-me-down backpack, or when she ate lunch alone in the library to avoid their cruelty. Her mother, a single parent working night shifts at the hospital, always told her, "You don't need a crowd to shine, baby. You just need to show up and never bow your head." So Layla showed up. When she walked into prom that night, her deep burgundy gown shimmering under the lights, the room seemed to pause. Her hair was swept back in soft curls, her heels clicked confidently on the gymnasium floor, and for the first time, she felt seen. It's not as the girl with no clique, but as herself. Elegant, proud, powerful. But not everyone was happy to see her shine. Jasmine, self-declared queen of senior year, watched from across the room, her lips twisting in jealousy. She had ruled that school with a sugar-coated fist, controlling her circle with fake compliments and backhanded insults. Layla had never played by her rules, never bowed to her drama. It made her a threat. And tonight, Jasmine wasn't about to let that threat steal the spotlight. Asterisk, let's make her disappear, she whispered to her friends. Asterisk, Layla had stepped into the restroom to touch up her lipstick. I for Moz. Moments later, Jasmine and 2 others followed her in, locking the door behind them. One of them pulled out a pair of shears from her purse, part of a prank prop from earlier. But the look in Jasmine's eyes wasn't playful. Asterisk, Layla turned, startled. What are you doing, asterisk? Jasmine smiled coldly. Fixing your dress? It's a little too pretty for someone like you. Asterisk, before Layla could react, the shears slashed through the back of her gown. The fabric tore with a sickening sound. One strap was ripped clean off. She spun, trying to push them away. But another girl held her wrist. Asterisk, the dress that had taken months to save for. The dress that made her feel like she mattered was in pieces. They laughed. They walked out, leaving her shaking in the bathroom stall, her eyes filling with tears. She stared at her reflection, at the ripped fabric, at the dream that had just been destroyed. Her breath came in short, sharp bursts. But inside that stall, something else started to rise. It wasn't just pain. It was fury. Not the kind that lashes out mindlessly, but the kind that had been simmering for years. The kind built from every insult, every lonely lunch, every time someone treated her like she didn't belong. Asterisk, Layla wiped her face. Then she stood up. Asterisk, she didn't need the dress to feel powerful, because her strength was never in what she wore, was in what she'd endured. Asterisk, with a steady hand. She used a hairpin to pin the remaining strap. She adjusted the ripped fabric into an asymmetrical design, took off her heels, and walked barefoot down the hallway. Asterisk, when she stepped back into the gym. The music paused. All eyes turned. Layla stood there barefoot with part of her gown torn, her shoulders square, and her eyes locked straight on Jasmine. Gasps rippled through the room. People stepped aside as Layla walked toward the group of girls who had tried to destroy her. Asterisk, you think I'd run? Layla said, her voice calm, loud enough to carry. Over the silence, you thought cutting my dress would cut down my worth? Asterisk, Jasmine tried to laugh it off. It was just a joke. Relax. Asterisk, no, Layla said. It was cruel, and I'm done being quiet. Asterisk, at that moment someone started recording. Phones rose across the room. Asterisk, you've bullied girls like me all year. You think kindness is weakness? But I promise, you kindness held back is still power. And tonight, you showed the world who you are. Now, I'm showing them who I am. Asterisk, someone clapped, and another. Asterisk within seconds, the entire room broke into applause. Jasmine's face turned pale. Asterisk the principal, who had witnessed the confrontation, walked up quietly and placed a comforting hand on Layla's shoulder. "We'll handle this," he said. "You've already done the hard part." Asterisk Jasmine and her friends were escorted out. A week later, they were suspended and banned from graduation, but that wasn't the real victory. The real victory was that Layla stayed. She danced. Her classmates gathered around her. For the first time, the wall between her and them crumbled. They saw her, not as a misfit, but as a warrior in heels, or bare feet who stood tall when it mattered most. Asterisk, a local news outlet picked up the story. Prom girl fights back after dress attack, wins the night with grace. Asterisk, she didn't need revenge. Asterisk, and from that night forward, every girl who ever felt invisible had someone to look up to, because Layla didn't just survive. She owned the night.